Alrighty, currently you can see how our web page is set up. We do have some basic formatting. All of our text is in here and we have a nice background, but it's still a far cry from our actual design that we created in Photoshop. So take a look at the one from Photoshop. Here you can see that we're going to need this logo still. We're going to need to create some items here. Um, you know, we need to create a box to position our navigation in. That's our nav bar. We need a header text right here, and we need to create a content box right here where all of our content will exist. So we need to creating those various divisions for our web page. So we're gonna we're gonna do that by going back into Dreamweaver. We can't really do that in Photoshop. So in Dreamweaver, we're going to place our cursor at the top and we're going to insert an image. The image we're going to insert, it's in our chapter 0204 begin folder, but this is where an index.html file is, but yours should be in your own folder. Okay, and moving those folders over. Okay, we want to, all right, here we go. So we're going to select open. We're going to add some alternate text to it. Eva Jones design. See, search engines will pick up on this, so that's why we want to add that alternate text. And so now we're going to start positioning some of these items. So again, we want to start dividing up this content. So we're going to use something called divs. Luckily, if we go to our insert panel over here, change it to layout, we have these different layout options. And really what we want to do is to start to absolute position some divs, AP, some divs. Okay, this gives us the ability to draw an AP div. So selecting that, we can just click and drag to make a box for our logo. So with that drawn, we can select our logo, cut it, place my cursor inside of that AP div, and then just paste it like that. Now if we select that yellow border, we can see that down here in our properties panel, we can start to adjust this accordingly. In fact, I want it to be about 100 pixels from the left side, and the top looks perfect because we want it to be right at the top edge, just like that. Looks pretty good. The Z index, we'll get into that later, but that's the depth that it's at. And usually anytime I start creating these divs, we're just going to get in the habit of just saving our files so that what we're going to do, save. Our next objective here is to create a navigational bar. So I'm just going to place my cursor up here and just hit return a couple times to give me a little space, but I want to draw an AP div for the navigation. So selecting that, draw my bar just like that. You can see I've drawn this AP div just like that. In fact, right down here, remember it was black in our Photoshop design, so we can change the background to black just like that. So we've created that. Again, I'm just going to get in the habit of saving. I've saved this specific CSS element, but now what I want to do is inside of here, if I click in here, I can start typing in some text. So I need to have home, about, portfolio, and contact as those various links. So just typing in that text there, and we want this text to be flush to the right. So what we can do is go to our properties panel, CSS tab selected, and just make sure your page is saved. So I'm going to save this page, and right over here, go ahead and align right. Selecting that, it will align it to the right hand side. So far so good. I'm going to insert a couple more, drop a AP div for this header right here just beneath the logo. I can draw that just like that, taking that line, selecting it, cutting it, placing my cursor in there, pasting it there just like that. You'll notice this did change because it didn't actually take the heading 1 style, and this will happen. If that does, just select it, and just like you did for HTML tab, you need to make sure you change that to heading 1, and there's your particular style. Alright, that looks good. We can even shorten that up a little bit if we want to. Next up is all this text right here. As I scroll down, well, same thing. Drawing an AP div about halfway down here, right here. I'll draw that AP div just like that. I'll change the background color to black. And now we can take this text, selecting it all, and then cutting it and then placing my cursor here and just pasting it. Alright, you can see all that text. We scroll up, but look at our box. Look, the black only goes so far down. Well, if I select that AP div, you can see right in here, oh look, the height, oh, 236 pixels. Well, that's not going to work. So we can select that, delete it, hit enter or return, and you can see it fills it up all the way down. Alright, so far so good. I think that's working out pretty well. In fact, I'm going to select the live view just to experience this a little bit more closely to what the end user will see, and you can tell, look what we've got going on here. This logo is actually behind this bar when I really want to change the depth of these items. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to turn off the live view. I'm going to select this AP div, the first one I drew. The z-index is at 1, so it's like closest to the background. What I just need to make it higher than this nav, which happens to be at 2. So if I select this one, I can select it, and you know what? Let's type in 200. Okay, because you can go as much higher than, say, single digits, and now that always is going to be on top, even when you start to draw more in there like I plan on doing. So selecting live view, you can see all of our content is positioned appropriately, and now you can move on to the next step, and that will be to actually customizing the look of this even more.